You know what completely fascinates me after spending years studying how attraction actually works between mature adults? It's not what most dating advice tells you. The real game changer isn't about grand romantic gestures or expensive dinners or even saying the perfect thing at the perfect moment. There's actually something far more subtle happening right under most men's noses that they completely miss. And when a man finally understands this one particular element of his presence, something remarkable happens. Women start responding to him in ways that feel almost effortless. They lean in closer during conversations. They find reasons to extend the time together. Their eyes soften when they look at him. And here's the thing that might surprise you. This has absolutely nothing to do with age, bank account, physique, or whether you've got a full head of hair. What I'm talking about operates on a completely different frequency. It's primal, it's psychological, and most importantly, it's something you can develop starting today regardless of where you're at in life. So stick with me because I'm going to break down exactly what this quality is, why it affects women so powerfully on a subconscious level, and how you can naturally integrate it into who you are without pretending to be someone you're not. Now, before we go further, do me a favor. If you're finding value in what we talk about on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. These conversations about real relationship dynamics for men in our stage of life, this is what we're all about here. And drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and whether you've ever noticed a woman respond to you in a way you couldn't quite explain. I read every single comment, and your experiences help shape the content we create together. So let me start with something I see constantly. Most men, especially as we get older, fall into one of two camps when it comes to connecting with women. The first group tries really hard. They think connection is built through effort, through doing things, through proving value. So they talk about their accomplishments. They pick up the check every single time. They tell stories designed to impress. They're essentially building a resume in conversation form. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing shameful about having achievements or being generous. But when these things become your primary strategy for connection, you're actually working against yourself. You're creating a transactional dynamic rather than an emotional one. The second group has kind of given up on trying. They've decided that dating and attraction are young people's games. They go through the motions maybe, but without any real belief that deep connection is possible anymore. They've become passive, just waiting to see what happens rather than showing up fully present. Here's what both groups are missing. Women, especially mature women who've been around the block a few times, aren't primarily attracted to what you do or what you have. They're attracted to how you make them feel in your presence. And that feeling doesn't come from your words or your wallet. It comes from something much more fundamental. It comes from your energy, your groundedness, your ability to simply be with her without needing anything from her. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you're with a woman, having a conversation over coffee or dinner or just a casual encounter, there's a whole layer of communication happening beneath the words. Her nervous system is constantly scanning yours, reading signals you're not even aware you're sending. Is this person safe? Is he comfortable with himself? Does he need my approval? Is there an agenda here? Does he have control over his emotions? All of this is processed almost instantly, long before her conscious mind forms an opinion. This isn't something women do deliberately. It's hardwired into female psychology through thousands of generations. A woman's survival and the survival of her children historically depended on her ability to accurately read a man's true nature beneath whatever he was presenting on the surface. Now, in modern times, we're not dealing with physical survival in the same way, but that detection system is still absolutely active. And here's where it gets really interesting for men our age. We actually have a massive advantage if we know how to use it. The quality I'm talking about, the thing that makes women feel that pull toward you, it's something that actually develops with age and experience. Younger guys can fake it sometimes, but they can't sustain it because it comes from genuinely having lived, having been tested, having made peace with yourself. That quality is what I call relaxed masculine presence. Let me break down what that actually means in practical terms. Relaxed means you're not in your head constantly calculating your next move. You're not anxious about whether she likes you. You're not performing or trying to manage her perception of you. You're simply there, in the moment, comfortable in your own skin. Masculine doesn't mean macho or domineering. It means you have a clear sense of direction. You know who you are and what you want. You can make decisions without endless deliberation. You can hold a boundary without aggression. You're not wishy-washy or constantly seeking permission through your body language and tone. Presence means your attention is genuinely with her, not scattered across your phone, your worries, or your own inner dialogue. You're actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Your body is settled, not fidgeting or displaying nervous energy. There's a quality of nowness to your interaction. When these three elements combine, something remarkable happens in her nervous system. She relaxes. Her defenses soften. That constant low-level evaluation that most women maintain around men, it starts to quiet down. And in that space, attraction has room to grow organically. I want to give you a concrete example of what this looks like versus what most men do. Imagine you're having coffee with a woman you're interested in. The typical approach goes something like this. You arrive maybe a little early because you're nervous. When she shows up, you immediately start talking, filling any potential silence with questions or stories. You maintain what you think is good, eye contact, but really you're scanning her face, trying to read whether she's enjoying herself. When there's a pause in conversation, you jump in quickly with another topic because silence feels uncomfortable. You're mentally running through your list of interesting things to share. Under the surface, there's an agenda. You want her to like you. You want this to lead somewhere. And because you want that, every gesture and word carries a subtle energy of seeking, of needing a particular outcome. Now, contrast that with relaxed masculine presence. You arrive when you arrive, not flustered either way. When she shows up, you greet her warmly, you're genuinely glad to see her, but there's no anxious energy attached to it. You settle into your seat fully, your body language open but grounded. When you ask her something, you actually wait and listen to the answer. You're not mentally preparing your response. You let pauses happen naturally without rushing to fill them. Your eye contact is steady but soft. You're not staring intensely or looking away nervously. You're just there with her. If the conversation hits a lull, you're completely comfortable sitting in that space for a few seconds. You might smile slightly, take a sip of coffee, and let the next topic arise organically rather than forcing it. Here's the crucial difference. In the second scenario, you're not attached to a specific outcome. Sure, you're interested in her. You wouldn't be there otherwise. But your sense of okayness doesn't depend on her response to you. You're already complete. She's not there to fill a gap in your life. She's there because you enjoy her company and you're curious about who she is. That shift in energy, even though you haven't said anything different, changes everything about how she experiences you. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this sounds like playing it cool or some kind of strategic detachment. It's not that at all. Strategic detachment is still a technique, still a form of trying to manage her perception. What I'm describing is actually the opposite. It's the freedom that comes from genuinely not needing her validation. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes you most attractive. When a woman senses that you're completely fine, whether she's interested or not, it creates curiosity, it creates safety, and it creates space for her own feelings to develop without pressure. Let me tell you about the specific signals women give off when they're feeling this pull. These aren't things she decides to do. They're involuntary responses that happen when her nervous system registers you as both safe and intriguing. First, you'll notice her body orientation shifts. She'll angle herself toward you more directly. Her feet, her torso, her shoulders, they'll all point in your direction rather than keeping an escape angle open. She'll start mirroring your movements subtly. If you lean back, she might lean back. If you pick up your drink, moments later, she'll reach for hers. This mirroring is a sign of rapport happening below conscious awareness. Her voice will change slightly. It often becomes a bit softer, sometimes slightly higher pitched, more melodic. This is a biological response to feeling attraction and comfort simultaneously. You'll see what I call comfort touches. She'll touch her own neck, play with her hair, touch her collarbone. These are self-soothing gestures, but in this context, they indicate she's feeling pleasant, nervous energy, the good kind of butterflies. Eye contact becomes different. Instead of the polite social eye contact we maintain with strangers, her gaze will linger. She'll look at your eyes, then your mouth, then back to your eyes. There's a softness to how she looks at you. She'll find reasons to extend the interaction. Oh, I should probably get going. But wait, I wanted to ask you about that thing you mentioned. Or she'll slow down her pace of leaving, gathering her things more slowly, continuing to talk even while standing up. And here's a big one. She'll offer personal information you didn't ask for. She'll volunteer details about her life, her feelings, her experiences. This is a trust signal. She's opening up because she feels safe doing so. Now here's what you need to understand. You cannot negotiate or logic someone into these responses. You can't create them through clever conversation tactics. They emerge naturally when the underlying energy is right, when she genuinely feels that relaxed masculine presence from you. So how do you actually develop this quality? Because I'm not interested in just describing something theoretical. I want you to be able to integrate this into your life. First, it starts with your relationship with yourself. And I know that might sound like therapy talk, but stay with me because this is practical. A man who needs external validation is always going to have that seeking energy that women pick up on. So the foundational work is getting to a place where you genuinely like yourself, where your sense of worth isn't dependent on whether a woman shows interest. For men in our age range, this often means making peace with where you are in life. Maybe you're not where you thought you'd be at this age. Maybe you've been through a divorce or loss. Maybe your body isn't what it used to be. None of that matters in terms of your capacity for connection. What matters is that you've accepted your reality and you're engaged with your life as it actually is, not as you wish it were. Second, practice being present in everyday moments, not just with women you're attracted to. When you're talking with a cashier, are you actually there or mentally somewhere else? When you're having a conversation with a friend, are you listening or just waiting to talk? When you're alone, can you sit with yourself without immediately reaching for your phone? Presence is a skill that develops through practice. The more you cultivate it in regular life, the more naturally it shows up in romantic contexts. Third, get comfortable with silence and space. Most men fill space because empty space makes them anxious. Start intentionally practicing letting pauses happen in conversation. Count to 3 before responding sometimes. Let yourself sit with a thought before sharing it. Notice what happens in your body when there's silence. Usually, there's a little spike of discomfort, an urge to fill the gap. Just observe that urge without acting on it. Over time, silence becomes restful rather than threatening. Fourth, release attachment to outcomes in your interactions with women. This is probably the hardest part, but it's also the most liberating. Every time you're about to interact with a woman, whether it's a first date or just a friendly conversation, consciously let go of needing it to go anywhere. Remind yourself you're already complete. This interaction is just about enjoying the moment, not about securing a future. When you can genuinely adopt that frame, the pressure dissolves for both of you. Fifth, develop your body awareness. A lot of presence is communicated through how you inhabit your physical body. Do you take up space confidently or do you contract yourself to appear smaller? Is your breathing shallow and chest-based or deep and belly-based? Are your movements deliberate or scattered? Simple practices like basic stretching, taking walks, or even just conscious breathing for 5 minutes a day will change how you carry yourself in ways that others pick up on subconsciously. Now let me address something important. Some of you might be thinking this all sounds like I'm telling you not to care, to be indifferent. That's not it at all. There's a massive difference between indifference and non-attachment. Indifference is I don't care about you or this interaction. Non-attachment is I care about this moment and I'm genuinely interested in you, but my well-being doesn't depend on you responding a certain way. Indifference closes connection. Non-attachment opens it. Also, I want to be clear that relaxed masculine presence doesn't mean being passive or failing to show interest. You can absolutely express that you find her attractive, that you enjoy her company, that you'd like to see her again. The difference is how you do it. It comes from a place of offering rather than needing. "I'm enjoying this, and I'd like more of it," becomes an invitation rather than a petition. She's free to say yes or no without feeling pressured, and you're genuinely okay either way because your sense of self isn't on the line. Here's something I've observed over and over. Men who develop this quality often find that their options with women actually expand significantly, even as they get older. It's not because they've gotten better looking or wealthier. It's because they've become more attractive on the level that actually matters most. They've become someone women feel good around. And that's an increasingly rare quality. Most men women encounter are either trying too hard or have checked out entirely. A man who's genuinely present, comfortable with himself, and not needing anything from her stands out dramatically. Let me share one more practical insight about how this shows up in actual dating scenarios. Let's say you're at the point where physical intimacy might happen. The typical male approach is often rushing, moving things forward as quickly as possible because there's anxiety that the opportunity might disappear. This completely kills the relaxed masculine presence we've been talking about. Instead, imagine approaching that progression the same way we've discussed approaching everything else. Slowly, present, unattached to outcome. You're together. There's clearly chemistry. Instead of immediately escalating, you slow down. You maintain eye contact. You let the tension build naturally. Maybe you pause with your hand on her face for a few seconds before kissing her. You're savoring the moment rather than rushing through it toward a goal. What this communicates to her nervous system is incredibly powerful. It says this man has self-control. He's not driven purely by impulse. He's present with me, not just focused on his own gratification. I'm safe here. And counterintuitively, that restraint, that presence, creates far more desire than rushing ever could. This applies whether we're talking about a first kiss or any level of intimacy. The principle is the same. Slow down, be present, let the moment unfold naturally. I want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier about our age being an advantage. Society tells us that men become less attractive as we age. That's nonsense, at least when it comes to the qualities that create real attraction. Yes, we might not have the physical advantages of youth, but what we can have is something far more valuable. We can have the kind of grounded presence that only comes from experience. We've lived long enough to know that external validation is empty. We've hopefully made peace with our flaws and limitations. We've experienced loss and learned we can survive it. All of that creates a natural foundation for relaxed masculine presence that a 25-year-old simply cannot access, no matter how good-looking he is. The women who are going to be right for you at this stage of life, they're not looking for someone to perform for them or prove anything. They've been through that. They're looking for someone they can actually relax with, someone who's done his inner work, someone who can be present without agenda. That's what you have to offer, and it's incredibly valuable. So here's what I want you to take from this. Attraction at our age isn't about tricks or techniques. It's about becoming the kind of man who's comfortable enough in his own skin that others feel comfortable around him. It's about presence, groundedness, and the confidence that comes from genuinely not needing external validation. Start paying attention to your energy in interactions. Are you seeking or are you offering? Are you in your head or present in the moment? Are you comfortable with silence and space or frantically filling every gap? These small awarenesses, practiced over time, will shift how you show up. And when you show up differently, women respond differently. Not because you've manipulated anything, but because you've become genuinely more attractive on the level that actually matters. If you found value in this, let me know in the comments. Write relaxed presence if you're committing to developing this quality in yourself. And tell me which aspect of this is most challenging for you. Is it releasing outcome attachment? Getting comfortable with silence? Being present instead of performing? I read these comments, and your input helps me create content that actually serves you. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one where we'll keep exploring what actually works in relationships at our stage of life.